Well, an urgent council meeting was called yesterday in the Western Cape's Kannaland Municipality because both the mayor and his deputy have criminal records. They faced a motion of no confidence, which did succeed. Well, to unpack what this means, we speak to Dawid Kamfer, spokesperson for the independent civic organisation of South Africa. Mr. Kamfer, thank you for joining us. Two very senior people who faced a vote of no confidence, and had criminal charges. I mean, Mr. Donson had a rape charge and Mr. Mashoa had a fraud charge. They were supported by ANC councillors. How on earth did this even happen?
How did it happen?
Yes, I mean, how were two men with criminal records appointed as mayor and deputy mayor, and for serious crime like rape?
Yes, you know, as we said before, and all other newspapers, Mr. Donson and Mr. Mashoa was clear by the IEC to stand in the elections. And that was the bottom line. The IEC cleared us two people because they was not in prison for more than a year, for whatever, because there was a lot of other things happen on these cases. And that's why Mr. Donson and Mr. Mashoa was standing in election, and the people were elected them. They voted for them. They voted 45% of the votes go to Mr. Donson and the Kosa in Kannaland. So the people, they decided that Mr. Donson and Mr. Mashoa was the best people to stand in the election. That's why they voted for them.
Mr. Kamfer, you're the ECOSA spokesperson. Did you not know that Mr. Donson, who was from your party, had a rape conviction?
No, we know that because you must understand, this thing happened when Mr. Donson was in the ANC. He was in the ANC when it happened. After that, Mr. Donson, when he came to Ikosa in 2006, this case was already on when he was at the ANC.
Sounds, well, he was supported by ANC councillors, so I suppose we could shift the blame there. But do you not do any kind of record checking before you put a mayoral candidate forward? It seems like it would be a first step to do a criminal record check.
But it was not necessary for us because why? The IEC cleared Mr. Donson because why? Because if the IEC clears somebody to stand in elections, and the court case was already, it was 70 years ago. So how can we come now and say, Mr. Donson, according to, if the IEC said, listen, your candidate got a criminal record or criminal whatever, they can stand in the elections, then it was something else. But the IEC clear, and I want the people understand this one. The IEC clear Mr. Donson. Mr. Donson was not in prison. According to the IEC, if you are more than 4 years in prison, then you can stand as any candidate for any political party. And that's the bottom line, and therefore the people of Kannaland voted for Mr. Donson.
Mr. Kamfer, when it became clear that Mr. Donson and Mr. Mashoa did have serious convictions, what did you think? Do you think that he should have been mayor? What was the reaction like?
As I already said, we elect Mr. Donson as the party, as the mayoral candidate for Kannaland before the elections. And nobody was making a noise about that because Mr. Donson was already his term in 2016, 2011. He was also the mayor of Kannaland. He worked with the ANC, and nobody was making a noise about that.
But did you know about it, or did you just not care?
No, we know about that, but it was not because the court already take its course. That the court decided over, we can't decide over Mr. Donson. We are not God to decide over somebody. If the court already decided on Mr. Donson 17 years ago.
Okay, so you as eNCA knew that Mr. Kamfer had a rape conviction, but you thought that it was okay and his moral integrity was intact enough to stand for mayor twice.
Not Mr. Donson, Mr. Kamfer.
Mr. Kamfer, apologies.
Yes, yeah. As I said, we was very clear about Mr. Donson and all the other councillors. Ne? We know what happened. I was in court. Ne?
So you were okay with
what
this?
happened in court. Ne? And the people who opened the case against Mr. Donson, nothing was very, very clear about that whole case. And that's why we said, ne, it's not the first time that Mr. Donson was the mayor or council of Kannaland. And nobody, not even the ANC, when they go in, the ANC also know about this case of Mr. Donson. Why did they go in the first place in a coalition with eNCA when they know what the case was when Mr. Donson was at the ANC?
Mr. Kamfer, thank you very much. I don't know why they would have gone into coalition. It is something of great perplexing attitude. I just don't understand. But thank you very much for your time. I don't think we got very clear answers from you, but it's somewhat odd, Taps. I wouldn't have said that would be a candidate for mayor twice. Maybe it's just me.